Hello, 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 everybody. It is your baby boomer Kittee Lane from the Peninsula in Virginia, back with another Create and Relate. I know I look like I'm playing in the sandbox. I want to welcome everybody to the den. Uh, I already. Sam! I was hoping to be able to stay awake long enough to watch, but alas, it's 3:15 a.m. and I've been up all night. Need to go lay down and catch the replay. Love you, Sam, and thank you for popping in. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I guess you know I'll be checking you out. I do. Yeah, lots of times I'll go into rooms and I don't say anything. Sometimes I am very chatty. Sometimes I'm very busy with the crochet. So, first of all, I want to start with the welcome and thank you for being here. The last I checked, I have not checked today, but the last I checked, I was at 413 subscribers. And I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you. It's 413. I'm excited. It makes my heart full. It makes me smile. I am so excited that is happening. It's happening. So, okay. Whew. And now I want to talk about finished and current objects. Your girl been working. So as far as finished, I think I showed you these, but I'll show you again. These are my Juan PDQ hats. And they're both in the different shades of blues. This one, of course, blues and white. This one, of course, in blues. Um, there it is. I'll save my pride and joy until last. No, because it's a finished object. I need to show you that now. This, y'all, is my left-handed granny square. That was from this week's challenge. At Taco Tuesday, I have Juan's page listed below where you can go and find tutorials. You can find out about Taco Tuesdays. You can see his Whip Wednesdays, and you can find it, all the things you can find there about Juan and involving his page. But I am very much fascinated by Taco Tuesday, and it's given me some ideas, but also it's something to do when you feel the need to break away from a big project that you're working on or several big projects that you're working on. Okay, I got overwhelmed by my lists, so I decided to put it aside for a while. The last thing I worked on that was on the list was the scarf. I got as far as the pink would take me, and I'm trying to decide if I want to go one more round and the half double crochet on the pink. The next color will be the mainstay pink. This is just yarn. And the next one will be the mainstay pink, which is considerably darker. Looks more like a hot pink. And that'll be for somebody who is on the list that likes pink. I'm going through these kind of fast. Ugh. Okay. Work in progress. So this is probably this side. It doesn't matter because it's the same right now on both sides. But this is how far I've gotten with my sweater. If I pull it all the way under, it only comes to about here. And this is the right panel. The left panel is considerably larger. It's a lot closer to where I want it to be. I even have it so that I can put it on. I've already connected the top. So this is where I am with this one. I still have some more to add to the lapel area. Of course, I'm increasing the arm, but the arm got as wide as I wanted it. So that's why I cut it off there. I do want it to be a lot longer. So we have a long way to go on the sweater. I know if Joan is here, she's probably doing cartwheels and flips right now. And so happy that I am working on my sweater for me. So with that in mind and the fact that I did feel myself getting overwhelmed and I wanted to do something to kind of break away from it, I went into my jar, my scrap jar, and I decided I wanted to design a mandala. I knew you were here. Hey, sis. So I started with this one. And when I finished the brown, I was like, cute, but it's just not giving me the that I want. Um, at first, I thought it was the colors. So I made another one out to here using different colors. And it just was not giving me that, wow, that's pretty vibe. So then I did this one. This one says me more than the other one. It made me smile. What did not make me smile is that I played yarn chicken and I lost 4 stitches, y'all. 4 stitches shy of completing this round, but it's all good. It's just an indication that I need to change colors. So I'm going to rip this row out and I'm going to go back with another color. And all I've been doing is sticking my hand in the jar and pulling out. If the colors don't seem like they go together, they may as well, because I'm using every ball that's in here. And as I work on other projects and I come up with balls, they will be going in the jar. This one's not going in the jar because I'm not done with my sweater and I know that I'm going to be using this. That's the only reason it's not in the jar yet. But when projects are done and I have leftovers, this is where they're going. And then they're going here. Don't know how big this is going to be yet. I'm assuming that it's going to be blanket size. But whatever, because there's a stitch in here that I have to use. It's a lot like the bean stitch, but it's not. And it is something that I came up with last year in piddling and playing. Oh, there goes that hip in me. So I have to incorporate that stitch here. That is awesome. That cardigan is beautiful too, Joan. It really is. So I'm going to combine this stitch, what's in the brown, and it's going to go here, but I don't know where. It's going to be a little too close to this open space. And I think that's what was wrong here. I had too many open spaces to begin with. You see, I started in the middle with what looks like the pinwheel. And then I just kind of closed it in a little. And then I gave it a little bit of opening. And I want to keep it closed a little bit. I know that I'm a girl who loves texture. So I know that I'll be adding ridges somewhere up in probably this area, maybe like 1.5 to a 2-inch area. And then I'll do some more openings. It'll probably be this stitch. Then I don't have a name for it. I don't. So no, this is going to be different than mine. That's cool. That's cool. But I'm telling you, the one that I saw was absolutely beautiful. Um, one more thing that I'm working on. I got to this, y'all, and I got stuck. I know now from putting it together as much as I have what I want it to be. I said I was going to use it for my hooks Probably not, because I like the jar that I have or the container that I have for my hooks. I turned a peanut can into um, a hook holder. I have a glob of glue back here that I'm trying to get off. There it is. Okay. But yeah, I do know that I want to make a box-like container. What I'm going to do is take this completely loose, being that I know what I want. And the reason I'm taking it loose, I don't know if you can tell, but some of these are not straight at all. This is from a pack that I got from Michael's. And as I pull them out of the pack, I see that a lot of them are warped. I have some of those that I got from Dollar General when it was still Dollar General. So I'm going to go pull those out and use those and just pull out the straight ones from here and put that together and make that. But it's nothing but glue and popsicle sticks, guys. And I'm going to let my grandchildren, that was another thing I decided, I'm going to let them color and paint on the popsicle sticks. And that's going to be the outside of my box. One side is going to be their art, and then I'm going to take the sticks and put them together and make a picture, and then put the sticks on. So it'll be making the picture in segments. So that is the plan for that. I showed you the sweater. Okay. So I showed you a little bit of sign language that I was working on this week, and that is welcome, which I've done before, but it's welcome, thank you, directed to the person. So thank you for being here. Here. So thank you for being here. And I also did finished, done, enough. So finished and current now. This is and, by the way. When you see me doing that, going from a C to a tight O, that's and. So finished and now or current objects. It's back just a teeny weeny bit. Hope it stays up. Okay, there we go. So finished and current objects. Yay. So what I want to talk to you about also today is the vacation, vacation or vacation. But it's kind of like you got wings and you're flying away, thumbs at your pit, and you just flap vacation. So the vacation update, it's not going to happen. Um, it's not for the reasons that it was before, but it's not. The reason is very intimate. It's not health. It's not health, but for peace of mind and safety reasons, I will not be going to Texas. Not now. Maybe some other time. When duty calls for me to be here, then, for family, that's where I'm going to be. So that is put on the back burner for right now. Am I disappointed? I can't really say that I am. Um, I don't like the fact that I'm not going, but if I were there and this situation had arisen, I'd be fighting people for a flight back home. So I'm glad that I was not there and this happened and I'd have to find a way to get back here. So there you have it. Health and weight update. I'm good. I'm good. Even though we're going through, it's a family thing. And even though we are going through that, I still am in a good headspace. And my weight, I know how to do that one. My weight is 3 25.2. Yeah. Yes. So my weight, of course, you know the numbers, and that point two. I'm losing, y'all. Now, I have another serious subject to talk to you all about. Great segues today, or segues, whichever way you say it. Y'all, I got an email that I opened up last night, and it made me go to sleep early because it made me that angry. And I don't get angry often. I've not even talked about this with my daughter. I'm talking to this. I'm talking about this with you all. And the person said in the email that I was a liar and that I was fraudulent about my weight, that I wasn't telling you all the truth. And I started to respond to the email, and I decided not to because evidently they're watching or they're checking out my videos. So I want them to know face to face that I don't have a reason to lie. And if I did, you best believe that 300 plus would not be a number that I would be choosing. Okay? That's nothing I think to be proud of. Am I proud of me? Hmm. Mm. Am I proud of me? You're darn right I am. When I started my journey, I was at 379. So to say that I'm 50 plus pounds down, I am very happy about that. I am ecstatic about that. And if you're not, so be it. My journey is not for you. My journey is for me. I'm not going to go further because I'm starting to get more upset. I feel it. I feel the sweat popping out. So we're going to leave that part of it there. But I am going to say again, I will continue to post my weight as I remember. Sometimes I'm rushing and I don't. But even when I don't post it, I tell you guys, I told you all from the very beginning that I was going to be completely transparent and that I had to hold myself accountable and that I needed some of you to pop in and help me be accountable. So that's where that is. Whew. So we come back and we have to have some happiness about that somewhere. So we have story time. And while I'm telling y'all about story time, I am actually going to pick up my hook and start crocheting. Oh, because I feel like screaming at people right now. So if you look at in the description box, you'll see the titles for my little stories that I have for you. And all of my stories are fishing tales today. So, or I should say something that has to do with the water. And they're memories of my mom. And they're happy memories. Now, the last one might be a little bit of a tearjerker, but it's still a happy memory. But the first thing I want to tell you about is my first ferry trip. So it was one of those weekends. I told you how my mom used to do the weekends. And we went to right over the Virginia line. I don't know if you all are familiar, but down 189. So we're just on the other side of Suffolk, going into Gates County. And we hit this little back road where there's a long stream or lake. I call it a ditch because you could throw a rock to the other side, but it was too far to walk. And my mom had a red Toyota Corolla. It was a station wagon, Mark IV. And me and my mom and Aunt Willie hopped into the car, and we go, and When we stopped, it looked like a little made up parking area. There was no grass, it was just hard packed dirt. And I couldn't understand why we were just sitting there. And, we had packed food to have a picnic, but mom said, don't take it out. We weren't going to have the picnic there. So we're sitting here, it's in the summertime, we're fighting mosquitoes and flies and all this good stuff. And then this man comes on what looks like a raft with a little shack sitting on top of it. When he pulled up to the bank, he told my mama to go on and drive up. What? 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 Y'all, we drove on that piece of wood, and this man literally pulled us across the water to the other side. In my child mind, I'm saying to myself and wanted to say to my mama, we could have stayed on the street part for this. We 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 could have. Let me tell y'all a little bit about Virginia, Carolina. That line. All the animals you hear about in Virginia, they like to gather at that line. All the animals and whatnot you hear about in North Carolina, they like to gather at that line. I don't know if they be playing the Hatfields and McCoys or what they be playing, but I saw most snakes hanging in trees that day. Like I said, I'm not scared of them. I respect them. As long as I can see them and they can see me. But y'all, some of the flying stuff they had out there, woo, I'm telling you, I had never in my life seen such big flying stuff as you see close to the water down here in Virginia. Oh, me. It ended up being a pleasant trip, and it's one that I always remember. And even though I sound a little, you know, like about it, I'm still grateful for that experience. And I think I'm even more grateful that I had that experience with my mom. But that leads me into another water scene. And this is it. I think that one was titled November Surfing, and I'm going to say it the proper way, Virginia Beach. Quick point or tip. If you visit this area and you don't want to sound like a tourist, don't call it Virginia Beach. It's not what we call it here. We call it Va Beach. So November surfing in Va Beach. And it was windy. The surf was really rough. We get out of the car and we even had to climb on rocks. So these surfers are climbing on rocks and they're waiting for the water to go out before they run and jump off of a little makeshift cliff, and they're riding their surfboards. And you would think that as they were hitting these rocks, their surfboards would like break into a million pieces. But nobody got hurt. I was so grateful about that because, it was an enjoyable experience because I had never seen anybody surfing up close, and to see this, and the guys out there were so friendly. They were so, so friendly, and they made us feel, right at home while we watched them. Come on, leg, cooperate. While we watched them surfing. And it ended up being like a really, really good time. Those are the short memories. Now we get into some of my favorite, and these are the fishing memories. And I went in chronological order according to how old I was because it made it that much better. Now, mind you, the first one I tell you is not when I caught my first fish, period. This is when I caught my first really major big fish. I believe I was 7. I was 6 or 7. I think it was 6 when I went back and did the math. Um, and we went out on Harrison Pier. Now, Harrison's Pier is in was in Norfolk. It's in an area called Ocean View. Um, and we used to go there a lot. We used to catch the charter boats out from there. So this day, it was real windy outside. It was raining, and it would turn into misting. And My mom and I wrapped up really, really, really good. And I don't know if you all remember or even knew about what they used to call the pocket fisherman. It was this little fishing rod that when you unfolded it, the entire thing from tip to end was like just a tad over a foot, just like this long. You hold the little rod and reel part in your hand, and it worked. We were on the deepest end of the pier. We're all the way down here at the end, and I'm wondering if this thing is going to work. And my mom had to cast for me because I didn't know how to cast. And I got a hit. Now, this isn't like country fishing with the poles. You actually put weight on the end of your rig so that it'll go down into the water. But when you get a straight, you feel that jiggle. And I told my mom, I was like, I got a hit. I got a hit. And she's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yes, I did. So she gives me her rod and reel, which is a short one. She loved boat rods. So hers was about maybe 3.5, maybe 4 feet long. And because she never cared for the really long ones. And she took mine. And of course she had to reel it in for me. But I was holding it when it got the straight. So she gave me credit for that. When she pulled it up, she was like, oh my goodness, this is a bluefish. I'm like, yay, yay. But that was not the kicker. The kicker was as she pulled it in and decided she was going to take it to the boathouse and get it measured and weighed, I got another hit on her rod and reel. So it wasn't just my first bluefish, it was my first and second bluefish. Y'all, I was super excited. I was first time catching bluefish. They were big enough to be weighed, and um, they were of substantial size. And I caught both of them. I was super excited. I was super, super, super excited. Um, okay, I'm trying to make sure I'm doing this right. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh no, 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 no. Y'all, I got confused. Okay, so that was the first fish tale. The second one is about the humble trout. I think I was 7 for that one. And like I said, we used to catch the charter boat from Harrison's Pier. So we were around where the charter boats go out, which was close to the boathouse. And there was this little corner where they used to raise minnows. So my mom decided she was going to drop her gear right there and see what she could come up with. Of course, she gets a hit. He goes up under the pier. The guys in the boathouse see her struggling to pull this fish in. She's pulling it in and pulling it in and pulling it in. And finally, they had to go get the net to help her get this monster of a fish in. Yeah, he had to be, I think they measured him at 14 inches, if I'm not mistaken. If you know anything about tautogs, they are thick, meaty, healthy fish. So 14 inches is nothing to sneeze at. So my mom pulls this fish in and she's like, whoa, she's feeling like a champion because everybody always gets fished out by the baby girl, the fisherman of the family. So she realized that this fish swallowed her hook. And my mother was very frugal, so she's going to go get the hook. And the man at the boathouse, we called him Red because he always wore red socks. He said, BJ, I don't think you want to stick your finger in his mouth. She was like, I've been bitten by fish before. They got a little bit of teeth, blah, blah, blah. She's going on and on and on. She's getting ready to stick her finger in this tautog's mouth. Let me tell you what a tautog has in his mouth. He has teeth my size in his mouth. Imagine a 14-inch fish with teeth this size. My mama got to look at those teeth and she said some words. Y'all, she said some words. I was like, ooh, my mama could talk like that. Yes, my mama could talk like that. My mama was not playing. My mother was not playing at all. She was not about to stick her finger in that fish's mouth. That was amazing to me as well. Um, and I skipped and told you about the tautog. The age was different then. I'm sorry. Now I need to tell you about the trout, which is where this all started. So we go out on a charter boat, which was actually a couple of days later. So it does end up being in chronological. Well, not kind of. I don't know. Well, anyway, we went out on the boat. We went out on the Wanderer 2, which was one of my favorite boats. And I don't even think it was the Wanderer 2. I think it was the Wanderer, because the Wanderer 2, the Wanderer sank, and they came out with a slightly larger boat, which was the Wanderer 2. They had the Wanderer got caught in a storm, and they lost that boat and some people. So they came out with the Wanderer 2. But anyway, I think we were on the Wanderer, and we were night fishing. Water nice and calm and pretty, and it was really, really dark out. All we had was the light of the boat, no stars, no moon. It was just dark. So about 5 people at one time claimed to have gotten a bite. And what it was, 5 people had hooked the same fish. And this was a trout. Another fish lesson. Trouts have very soft mouths. So when you're trying to reel them in, the last thing you want to do is jerk, because you'll jerk the hook right out of their mouth. And I'm learning on the boat. I'm still young. I'm learning how to reel it in. You just kind of let them ride. You reel it in slowly. So when they finally get this fish up, because I'm one of the ones that's hooked in, they start untangling the lines, the fish lines, and trying to figure out who actually caught the fish in the mouth. My mother is standing over them and she's watching every move they make. Well, your girl's hook was in the fish's mouth, but the brother of the captain had caught the fish in the eye, and they decided to give him the fish. When I tell you my mama was livid, oh my goodness. My mama was getting ready to show some Ninja Barber Jean stuff. And I just tapped her on the shoulder and I said to her, "Look out there, what do you see?" And she was like, "Water, what, you want to swim?" I'm like, "No." But just like I caught that fish, there's some more out there. They might not be as big. He might be the smallest one. We don't know. We'll try it again. And the beautiful thing about that was the brother that the fish had been given to heard the conversation that I was having with my mom. And he turned around and said, "You know what? You caught this fish fair and square. I'm giving this fish to you." That was my way of telling my mom to be humble. Don't sweat it. We come out here fishing all the time. We got enough fish in the freezer to last us for some years. So all we gonna do is take it home and clean it and give away some fish in the freezer so we can make room for this one. It's okay. We're fine. It's not like we're losing anything. Not like there were newspaper articles or anything like that. It was, it was just a moment. And I was satisfied with the fact that I knew I had caught it. So I was good with that. But it ended up that we actually got to go home with the fish. And my mom was happy and I was happy. Okay, now to tell you about the back to school bass. I'm trying to decide if I want to switch this around a little. I think I'm going to switch it around a little. I'm going to tell you about the lunch and nap and still outfish them all. So at this time, I'm a teenager, and we go out on a different boat called the Valcat. I never liked the Valcat. You see most boats, and they have the wooding or whatever material it is that comes up around the sides. Well, this was a flat kind of boat. It was shaped like a boat, but there was no wood coming up on the side. He had metal poles with chains in between them. And I'm like, if you bend down and lose your footing, you'll go right with. And I was never comfortable on that boat. Well, this was a July day, and I already didn't like the boat, but we were out on a mission. This was a different time, so we needed to restock the freezer at this point. And my mission, every time I went out there, you would go out for 4 hours. So I wanted to catch 10 fish an hour, 40 fish, and then I would be okay with that. I looked and I'm pulling them in two at a time. And I decided I was going to add a third hook. So now I'm pulling them in three at a time. Not even keeping track of them in an hour, but a little more, well, a little less than 2 hours had gone by. And I started feeling a little seasick. So I decided it was time for me to get something to eat. I know being out there in that water to settle your stomach, you need to eat something salty. So I had some potted meat and crackers. And I ate my potted meat and crackers, and I was like, well, I guess it's time to take a nap. And my mama said, did you reach your quota? I'm like, I don't know. I know I caught a lot of fish, though, and I'm not worried about it. Y'all, I went in the little cabin because everybody down there knew me and my mom. So whenever we got on the boats, we always got to go in the cabin and lay down or, go to sleep or whatever. Sometimes we get a second trip free, because we were there all the time. We were there all the time. So they let me go in and take a nap, and I decided to get on top of the box that went down to the motor because I love the hum of the boat. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to that and I'm sleeping and I'm sleeping. And I decided to get up and it's time to do some more fishing. And my mom was like, well, you missing your quarter now because we only got a little more than an hour left. I'm like, okay, cool. Here I go again. I'm popping them two at a time, three at a time. So on the way back, we decide we're going to count fish. And there was one man up at the front, and we had always told everybody, because it was always different patrons on the boats. But we would always tell everybody what we were doing. I would always say, I'm catching 40 fish. Or, somebody else say, okay, well, if you're catching 40, I'm going to catch 50. Well, it was always that type of thing. And I had announced that I was catching 40 fish, and there was one man up front. And he was so proud of himself. He was like, ha, ha, I bet you can't top this, little lady. I caught 76 fish. And I was like, okay, that's good. That's good. I think you probably got me. My grandmother was with us. She's sitting here. She's steady counting fish, steady counting fish. Dude at the back of the boat comes, and he's like, no, partner, I got you on this one. I got 82 fish. And I'm like, okay. And I'm watching my grandmother still counting. you know, my grandmother held her head up. She looked at the captain and she was like, 122. Everybody went, what? Yo, in about 3 hours' time, I had caught 122 fish. And they were spots and croakers. I think most of them were croakers, if I'm not mistaken. I just remember the number. It was 122 fish. And the reason that number was so significant to me and why I remembered it is because that's my birthday, y'all, 12 too. Who wouldn't remember that? Who would not remember that? Yes. So yeah. Now this little tidbit that I'm about to tell you, I have to take this out that I just started because it's not, I did something wrong. I think I should have started here. Okay. Well, anyway, um, I didn't do it wrong. I didn't do it wrong. So the back to school fish happened in 1976. My grandmother used to work at a private school. It was a private horse riding school, an academy. And she and the owner were best friends. And I had lost, we had lost my grandfather in February of 76. And it was taking the family a long time. Well, not really, you know, to, in retrospect, it seemed like a long time for the family unit to get back together. You know, at 12 years old, you really don't fully understand the grieving process. So my grandmother had gone through a series of hospital scares where she was, we were called from Virginia to, rush back to North Carolina because she was hospitalized. So this one time we got there on that Friday. We stayed the entire weekend. It's the middle of the following week, and my mom is like, okay, you've already missed 3 days of school. We got to get you back to Virginia. Let's go fishing before we go. Okay, fine. I'm thinking we going to one of our ditches or something. No, we went out to the school. We went out to the academy. We were always welcome there. It was like, the families were family. So they got this big pond out in the back, and we go all the way in the back by the pond. And on the edges of the water, on the close to the bank, you could see this huge big mouth bass. And I forgot the person that was with us. It was me, my mom, and it was one of our cousins. It was one of our older cousins. It was a gentleman. I want to say it was Vernon, but I'm not sure. But at any rate, he just kept dropping his bait right in front of this bass's mouth. And the bass would suck up the bait and spit it back out. Suck up the bait and spit it back out. And I'm like, I'm not, because it was he and mom. They would like in competition with each other. And I'm like, I'm not going over there. If they catch it, woohoo. If not, it wasn't meant to be. I'm on the other side and I'm casting until I saw a snake. And I figured he wanted that side of the pond. So I came back around to the side that my mom and my cousin were on. And then they decided they were going on the other side. I'm like, okay. So I just dropped my rig in. I was not using I was using the artificial flyer, all kinds of pretty colors. It was green and yellow and orange, and once it hit the water, it just looked like something flashy in the water. Y'all, I looked when it hit the water. I saw the bass's mouth open, and I saw the bass's mouth closed, and I blinked because I figured he was not gonna bite it. And when I opened my eyes, the bass was thrashing like crazy. What did I do? With my rod, I went running towards the building, not reeling it in. I went hightailing it towards the building. 17 and a half inches, y'all. 17 and a half inches that bass was. I was super excited because at that time it was the biggest fish that I had ever caught without any discrepancy. That was my fish. That was mine. I caught that one all by myself. And we were so excited and knew it would make my grandmother feel better. She was in the hospital. I had on a flannel shirt, a brown and black flannel shirt. I took my shirt off, wrapped that fish up in my shirt like a baby. We walked into Wilson Memorial Hospital and went straight to the elevator. And one other lady got on the elevator with us. She was like, "Your baby is so quiet." And I just kind of looked up at her and she looked down. She was like, "Oh my God, it's a fish." We took that fish to meet my grandmama. Joan, I don't know. The last one I'm going to tell you about the fishing was the most memorable. This is the one that I said, might be the tearjerker. When my mom started getting sick, y'all, it was in 2011. Well, she decided that she wanted to try to go fishing. She started taking chemo treatments in 2011 and she finished in 2012. And it wasn't what she went through after the, not chemo, what she went through after the radiation treatments was not pleasant. There were times that she wouldn't eat, um, and I mean, wouldn't eat at all. And when she started eating, it was things like a tablespoon of collard greens, and that would sustain her for a day. She never liked the Ensures, um, but when she did start eating again, um, she'd have me go buy her some lamb chops, and I had to cook her lamb chops and cook her steak, and it was exciting to see her eating. But when she got to the point that she could walk a little bit better, she decided she wanted to go fishing. And there was a port down in the section of Portsmouth where we used to live, Mount Herman. And you went all the way down to the end of Mount Vernon and turned, I think the section was called Port Norfolk. And she went out there on that pier. She drove herself and she went out there on that pier. And what she told me before she left the house was that she was going to take care of some business. She had some meetings she had to go to. So Mama had been gone for about 3 hours. And she called me and she said, I need your help. I need to get back to the car. So I drove down, and the people at the boathouse were very, very sweet. They were very sweet. We had another fishing expedition out there, not me and my mom, but me and my best friend, and I had an asthma attack and didn't take my inhaler. And they had an inhaler. One of them had asthma. So they presented me with their inhaler, and it did what it needed to do until I could get to where I could get one of my own. So they were familiar with us, and they stood with Mama. Now, what made Mama walk all the way down to the end of that pier, I don't know. But I got down to the pier and I helped her back. And she said to me then, she said, I'm glad I got to do this on my own, but this is my last fishing trip. And she stayed around for a while, but to know how much she loved fishing and to know that that was her last trip, I was happy that I was able to drive out and get her. And the people there drove her car back to the house. And I had gone fishing with my best friend about a week before that. That was how she knew about the pier because they had just built the pier. So she got to fish on a brand new pier and she enjoyed herself. And that was what was most important. But that week before, when I went fishing with Will, that was the last time I went fishing because it just never felt right. And it's funny because one of the places that she and I used to go fishing is right down the street from where I live, the James River Bridge Pier. It's right up the street, but mm. And my best friend that I used to go fishing with, other than my mom, he lives over here in Hampton now. And he every year he calls me, he says, I'm just waiting for the phone call for us to go. Just don't feel the same without my mom. You know, even when he and I would go and my mom didn't go with us, he would always come in the house and help me gather my things. So, mom treated him like a son, and she was always telling him, y'all have fun. And she would let him use her rods and reels. Wouldn't even let me use them, but she'd let him use them. She talking about you might get lucky. Let him use them. Somebody else deserves some luck. Yeah. So that is it about my fish tales. I figured out that I did not do all the way wrong with this. I should have started up here instead of down here. So I am going to have to take this out and I'm going to go back and do this right. And then I'm going to catch this side up to this side. And once I get that caught up, I don't know what I'm going to do after that. I might go further with this. I might not. I'm not sure. I can tell you we having pizza for dinner. We having home cooked pizza for dinner. Yes, my baby makes the best home cooked pizza. I want to go in the kitchen one time and learn how to make it. I really, really do. Whew. Y'all, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here for me, with me, following me. You all make this great. You really do. It's like the gathering of friends 3 days a week. And please don't forget to check the description box where I tell you about Taco Tuesday. I don't connect you to a Taco Tuesday, but the link that I have is for Juan's page. And you can go up to his page to any of his playlists and you can find Taco Tuesdays. Also, um, Miss C's Cottage, when you need to get your bucket filled with love for the week or midweek, you can check her out on Sundays and Wednesdays from 12 to about 2. On Sundays, it's 12 to 2. Wednesdays, it was 12 to 1, but I know she had been extending it, a little bit because those are her 2 days. Bless her heart. Um, Also, my Michelle. My Michelle, my belle, yes, please. If you have any type of content questions, go check out her content page, Content Creators BF, CCBF. And that link is down in the description box. If you just want music to chill to while you crochet, while you're cleaning, while you're meditating, she has two different music types or delivery types on her audio accessibles platform. One is for the morning meditations or whenever you want to meditate. The other is a longer playlist where you just get to sit back, relax, and listen to music. And of course, you can catch all the steals and deals on her main page, which is just Yes Michelle Crochets. So, y'all, you got some really good ones there. Another one who loves to tell stories just as much as I do, but she can do it from the perspective of a teacher, a math teacher at that, is my dear Lori. Go follow Lori Stories and Crochet. There are many more. And when I pop in, I try to pick the first ones that pop into mind and I try to list them below. But you still have the Posh Paper Lady. You've got, if you just want to salivate over yarn, you can go to the Yarn Geek, which is Ginger. If you want to see two friends just hamming it up and have a good time, you can check out Jen and Ivy. If you want to see yarn, mm, specs, if you want to go and learn about all types of yarn specs, you can go to Gilded's channel or you can go to Jennifer's channel. Um, if you want to learn just how hard it is struggling with disabilities and chronic illnesses and having to go through, still having the courage, the patience, and the heart and the know how to keep pushing forward. If you need that inspiration to keep going, please go check out um, Mama Kayla. Okay? I'm just saying. I have gotten more inspiration from her, more drive, because there have been days that I would get up and I just did not feel like pushing forward. And just to watch a segment of one of her videos, I'm like, you know what? Why? Why am I even putting myself through this? If she can do it, I can do it too. Okay. Real quick about the email, but not addressing it. I don't do what I do for hardship. I am learning every day about the discord in the community. And what's sad about that is the fact that the YouTube streets are expanding, improving, evolving, upgrading all the time. There's enough room for all of us. So the stabbing and the backbiting is ridiculous. It's childish and ridiculous. So I'm just saying, grow up and fix it so we can make this community big, like the reality channels. When people pop in, they have such a choice. Let's do that. Pull together. If we help each other out, we could blow this system out of the water. There are that many of us, but we're so small because we choose to stay in our little cliques. If we would just watch each other's videos, give each other's likes, each other likes, there's so much that we could do for each other. Think about it. Look at the logistics behind that and ask yourself, is it worth it to even take the time to put somebody down? And I want y'all to do what I do every day, every second, every moment. Be bold, be brave, be beautiful, and behave. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Remember, Kittee Lane told you. Remember, Kittee Lane loves you. And until we see each other again on these YouTube streets, peace out, everybody.